one person that I didn't mention who I hold in extremely high regard is Ken Loach.
Huh.
Uh, but um, we already did an episode on his film The Wind That Shakes the Barley,
Yes.
but I think he's been very consistently good for several decades. I'm not even going to attempt to. Oh, okay, I will attempt to pronounce the name of Yorgos Lanthimos, the guy who directed The Killing of a Sacred Deer and um, Dogtooth and
I think you
a
got his
lot.
name just right.
Yeah, uh, I mean,
Yeah.
he's somebody who keeps. I didn't like The Lobster. I'm going to be
What?
entirely. I didn't like it. I just did. I thought it was kind of pretentious drivel, but
That's the
uh,
only movie of his I've seen, and I really liked it.
yeah, the Killing of a Sacred Deer is much better. So I'd highly recommend that. But yeah, he's been really good recently. So yeah.
Gil, I just thought of a director that's really kind of almost, for me at least, perfect for what you were talking about before, where you like, you really like. I really like all of his movies. You introduced me to his movies, and so far, I think all but one of his movies have been really good, and yet I don't think any of them are in my top 50 at all. Would be that what is it? Tom McCarthy.
Oh yeah,
That last one he did,
Stillwater.
Oh, it's
Stillwater
movie
was.
Sevens. Oh,
Hmm?
Tom McCarthy.
Yeah, Stillwater was good. Spotlight won an Oscar, I think, right? uh, and his other ones were really good too.
I don't hold Tom McCarthy in the same regard as I think you two do. I think The Station Agent was pretty good, but otherwise, I think he kind of just makes. I'll, I don't know. Stillwater was good. Uh, I think that was a bounce back from uh, uh, Spotlight, but uh, I mean, I think that Spotlight was really overpraised. Um, but
I
anyway,
still don't know why you think that, but whatever. Anyway.
uh,
It's I mean, I remember at the time what my feelings about it was that it was too simple. It was kind of like David Lynch doing the straight story. You know, it's almost all the quirkiness that he brought to the Station Agent and was it The Visitor, right?
Yeah, the visitor.
And
yeah,
some of his
Win-win.
other movies, it was lost. Like he was like, okay, so I'm making a big Oscar movie, so I need to like tone down my style, and I feel like it was a bit missing. Like it actually would have been nice if he would have been more daring. And I actually feel the same way
yeah.
about 12 Years a Slave. Like Steve McQueen
Mhm.
made like Shame and Hunger, and they're very daring, interesting, small movies. And then he got this big movie about slavery, and he was like, okay, I'm going straight. I'm just gonna do this straight. I'm gonna shoot this coverage here, and I'm gonna just make a movie. Like I'm not gonna all the you know, little quirks that I have in style that I brought to my first few movies. I'm just gonna like put them aside and be serious. And I think they lose some of their edge.
Yeah. Well, also with Spotlight, it's just one of those things where anybody who has a Twitter account is probably tired of getting Mark Ruffalo preaching to them anyway. So, you know, uh,
Interesting.
Well, that was before he started preaching too much, but yeah, I guess.
The I've never seen the earlier movies that you were talking about, Gil, but I did want to mention, just because the last time we talked about 12 Years a Slave, when you used it as an example of, I guess, what not to do with a slave movie
It
or
was the
something like
Passion
that.
of the Christ with
Yeah.
black people.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't say much then because I had not seen the show that you were talking about to compare it to. But I mean, I don't know how edgy or interesting or creative he was in his previous movies that you are talking about, because I didn't see them. But I think 12 Years a Slave is great. But I can kind of guess what you're talking about, though, in the sense that it is kind of a straightforward approach to making a movie. And I mean, like, you know, I would even say that I do definitely see what you're referring to with Tom McCarthy, because his first three films, or even four films, had a very specific thing, like a just like a tone or a, you could just kind of tell it was his thing. It was different, even the one that wasn't so good, the Cobbler, definitely still had something about it that was quirky and interesting. And while I really liked Spotlight and was really happy that it won the Best Picture that year, I think, it definitely, like you said, it just feels more like a big, straightforward movie. It doesn't have those things that he brought to the other ones.
Yeah, it's sort of, even Kubrick did it with Spartacus. Like
Yeah,
when he got hired on that movie, he kind of like, I'm gonna put aside all my, you know,
yeah,
what's the word?
yeah. Idiosyncratic things.
Syncratic, like
Yeah,
and just sort of like just do my job as a traffic cop, but a very very
Mm.
good traffic cop. um and I mentioned Lynch. I actually do think with the Straight Story, it was actually a concept. Like he did actually, because it's called a straight story, so he
yeah.
was shooting it
No,
straight.
yeah,
It
for
was actually
sure.
David Lynch is the only one I think that nailed that. Of like,
Of course. Yeah,
like it actually there was a concept there as far as Spartacus and Todd
yeah.
McCarthy, and yeah, like those other examples, I think are just people playing it safe, and I don't appreciate safety.
Not to go
Like,
off on another tangent, but I just thought of this when you were talking about that. Like a good example of someone who didn't fall into that situation would be like Ryan Johnson. His progressively bigger and bigger and bigger movies, from like say Looper and stuff like that, still maintained sort of that stuff that he had in his earlier stuff. And then, now with Knives Out was like one of his best movies probably, and definitely feels like him.
yeah, and he's gotten better. He's perfected. I don't think he's perfect, but I think he's definitely cultivated his skill
Yeah.
to make decent movies. And obviously, it was very polarizing with Star Wars because that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
And he still allowed himself to go a little bit edgy there, which is why it was polarizing. But I'm
Yep.
glad that I'm glad those people are out there. We often talk about, people making quirky movies, whether it's, you know, the the younger ones like, Ari Aster and Dave, right? I keep messing the name. Eggers. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
Robert. I keep
Yeah,
forgetting their names.
I knew who you were talking about.
oh, geez, his upcoming movie looks like a freaking synergasm.
Which one is
Yeah, it
it?
is Robert. Last time I also
Yeah,
called him Dave. Like, what's
You
wrong with
did. You
me?
did last time.
Like, of all the names, I get stuck on
yeah.
Dave. But I'm sorry, Robert.